David Monyae. He's an international relations and foreign policy expert, and he joins us in Johannesburg. Great to have you on the show, Mr. Monyae. Of course, looking at the current global and continental realities, there are a lot of issues on the table that are critical. What do you think are the priorities at this year's meeting?
I think what is central to Africa is a question of development, answering to most of the demands made at climate change, summit, African climate change that took place in Kenya, and a number of demands that are on the table through the G7 and a number of platforms. However, this year's UN General Assembly appears to be more fragmented, and one wonders if there is anyone listening, given the fact that there are a multiplicity of other platforms and more states feel that their issues are better answered outside the UN system itself.
And of course, there's that call for a change to the international status quo from Africa as well. What are your thoughts on the follow-up mechanisms, solutions that we could see coming out of the UN General Assembly this time around?
I'm not expecting a lot. And just look at the P5, the permanent 5 members of United Nations Security Council. 4 members were not present. It was only the host country, United States. The lack of transformation of the body and continued dominance and hegemony of United States and Western countries still prevail in this body. And therefore, I think the demand by the global South that we see clearly with the rise of BRICS and a number of other platforms at a global level, it appears that we are gradually entering into a multipolar world order, and the West, in a way, does not prevail, given the conflict in Ukraine, sanctions that are being applied. Every effort taken by the most powerful countries seem not to hold, and smaller countries, particular Africans, should and must unite and speak with one voice and prioritize platforms where their issues will see the light of the day.
But how hopeful are you that we'll see this happen? Because as you just mentioned, looking at the G20, the G7, we're currently living in a very fragmented world. We're seeing a lot of differences, clashes of political ideologies. How do you think this is shining at the UN General Assembly? And how do you think African leaders can make sure that their voice is heard amidst all these different factors?
Unity at the African continent and concentrating on demanding a just transition on so many things. I think a number of head of states in their speeches at the UN General Assembly made it quite clear that Africa is suffering from the effect of more than a century of industrialization in the global north at the moment, and therefore there is a need to prioritize development and to work hard on issues such as gender parity and be much more conscious on conflict and ensure that there is the rule of law without allowing few countries dominating the stage, going back in a way to 1945 and ensuring that the desires of international community of uniting around United Nations is strengthened.
Well, I certainly like your cautious optimism there, Mr. Monyae. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. That, of course, is David Monyae. He's an international relations and a foreign policy expert joining us there in Johannesburg.